Without further ado, let's talk to Michael Venom Page. There he is, MVP, my man. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. Here we are, 2-3 days after the fight. How do you feel about what happened on Friday?
Firstly, I apologize. I've got a little bit of a sore throat.
Okay. You were yelling? You were yelling at the world? Is that why you lost your voice?
I got my family here, so we've all been like laughing and joking and stuff. So
thank you for doing this under those conditions.
No problem. So in the moment, it felt very frustrating, more because of how he won. I'm not debating whether he won or not. I haven't actually watched it back yet. A lot of people have told me since watching the fight again, they feel that I won the fight. But for me, I like to put more blame on myself. I didn't do enough. I didn't work hard enough to, prevent him from holding me down in those kind of positions. But he was holding me in survival mode versus he's like, I'm just trying to make it to the end of the fight versus I'm trying to beat you, which is what I think. I genuinely do feel like the rules need to be looked at because there's a bit of a loophole. It happened the week before in France with Bader. He definitely won, but I feel like you should be encouraged to do a lot more when you're on the floor. Wrestling shouldn't be a tool to stall. It should be a tool to advance, to create submissions, or to create damage and ground and pound.
So, okay, did you think you won? Am I crazy? Because I actually thought you were, despite the fact that he was holding on to you, he was wrestling, he had you all tied up. Despite the fact that you were in those spots, I actually felt like you were making the most of those spots by trying to inflict damage. First and foremost, that's the most important scoring criteria, is to inflict damage. So even if, someone changing the channels looks and is like, oh, this guy's getting held down, he's losing. Someone who doesn't know anything about MMA would be like, you're getting beat. He wasn't doing anything to you. All he was doing was holding on to you. So I'm just curious, when the fight was over, before they read the scorecards, was there any part of you that's like, hey, maybe I actually did win this?
I'm going to be completely honest. Based on the current rule set that's in play, I assumed that I would have lost.
Oh, okay.
And going into the after round 4, I was literally having conversation, like just casual conversation in between rounds with my coach, like what angle should I go? He's like, I think you're down. You need to go for the Hail Mary, try to knock him out, which is why I didn't play it as tactical. I reckon if I was a bit more tactical and I played it like round 4 and just stayed away but that's just not my style. I want to try and go in and win. I want to try and go in and win big. So we were just like, let's just go for broke. But it's only in retrospect afterwards I was like, yeah, he actually didn't do anything. And I'm being dead serious when I say I have not one bruise, not one sore, not one injury, not nothing that is niggling from that fight. I genuinely feel like I haven't had a 5-round championship fight. It doesn't feel like that because he, like I said, he didn't come to inflict damage. He came to survive. Now, tactically, great for him. He won the fight. But it is quite frustrating still to have lost that way. But in the moment, I would have said I would have lost the fight based on the rules.
Right. In the moment when the fight is going on and you're just being tied down, you're in London, you want to put on a show, this is a title fight for you, it's a big opportunity. What is going on in your head? Because you have a lot of time to think, I would imagine. It must have been one of the most frustrating moments of your career, that fight.
Definitely very frustrating because I feel like he even though he was wrestling and he's an exceptional wrestler, but he still couldn't do that much, which was very frustrating that I still wasn't able to get any further. He wasn't able to hold me down properly, but I still couldn't get up to where I wanted to get to continue landing strikes. I even spoke to him during the fight. I was like, come on, man, you can do better than this. I was even saying that during the fight. But again, he came here to tactically win. And to be fair to him, he was very honest in his speech afterwards in terms of how dangerous I am and how fast I am in that moment. But for me, there is a loophole that we need to look at. And then there's been multiple sports that they upgrade themselves. They upgrade the rule set to adjust to the times, because I feel like wrestling is becoming a bit of a, like I said, it's being used in a negative way. Back in the day, people came to fight, not to survive.
Oh, it was frustrating to watch. And actually, I've known Scott Coker for a long time, and he's pretty mild mannered, and I think that's why people like
Yeah.
him to a degree. I don't recall him ever being so sort of outspoken about something that goes against the grain. In this regard, he came out and was quite critical, at least for Coker, of the performance, and even said himself that he thought you
Yeah.
won. What did you think when
Yeah.
you saw those comments?
Yeah, I was. To be fair, I was very shocked. He said it to me afterwards, but I wasn't sure if he was just kind of like make me feel good in the moment. And then when I heard that he said it in the interview, I was. To be fair, even when I heard your comments and I heard quite a few other people's comments saying the same thing, That's when I was had to kind of second guess myself. Like maybe I need to look at this again properly. And then everybody that's rewatched it have all said to me, "Yeah, nah, you won that fight." I don't blame anybody. I always like to put it on myself. I need to do better. I need to be better. But one thing that's exciting for me is I know if I correct that one aspect of my fight, I become the most lethal MMA fighter in the world, 100%. Because if that's how you have to win, then yeah, there's nothing else you can do.
What's the one aspect that you're referring to?
If just somebody holding me, being able to just keep me in a specific position. But like I said, I think it is very different when you're holding on for survival to when you're holding on to actually progress. If he was pushing the action, I definitely reckon I would have got up a few times. If he was trying to go for submissions, I definitely reckon I'd have got up a few times. But he literally was just holding me to to not be, hitting any other way. And even then, like you say, I do believe I inflicted a lot more damage. I was punching him, even when he had me up against a fence, I was punching him in the stomach. His side was sore.
Yeah.
His face is busted up. Like he's if we had to stand together and somebody asked, we told someone that we had a fight, everyone would just assume naturally that I had won because I have not won mark or anything.
We need to get away, and we hear this in the commentary a lot, which is frustrating. It's like takedowns don't win fights. You know what I mean? They don't. I mean, according to the criteria, once upon a time it might have been the case, but according to the criteria, it's damage. It's actually beating someone up. So I don't care if you're off your back. I don't care if you're like up against the cage and you're trying to escape. Yeah. If you're landing shots and the other dude is just literally holding on to you, one guy's inflicting damage and the other one isn't.
100%. And I feel like we need to get better at judging fights like that because, like I said, it's becoming a bit of a loophole, and that is the way of old. I feel like if you have, you should get points for a takedown, and then it should continue. But the takedown shouldn't be the be all and end all of the round. If I've landed, let's say you give a wrestler 3 points for a takedown, but I've hit you and kicked you 10 times, then and you haven't done anything else bar that takedown, then you've lost that round. And as you say, I think you're thinking the same as a lot of people that it should be based on damage. And you can see definitely he was the one that was definitely more damaged.
There's two other problems. One, and this has been a problem forever, the 10-point must system is a scoring system that was created for boxing. So even if it's a firefight, right? If it's a slugfest, it's hard. It's very subjective. Damage is very subjective. In this case, I actually felt it was pretty clear cut because one guy was inflicting damage, the other one wasn't. But if it's like Joanna and Zhang Wei Li back in the day, it's like, oh, how do you know who inflicted more damage? So that's one of the problems.
Yeah.
The other, and that's going to be years before they change that. But I have to be honest, and maybe this wouldn't have changed things on Friday for you. Open scoring. Can we get some open scoring? How do you feel about the open scoring, Michael?
So I'm a fan, but for different reasons, not even for myself. I've always been an advocate of helping, bringing in more supporters and more fans and more eyes. Now, I was explaining this the other day. Ours is probably the only sport that if you was flicking through a channel and you came to an MMA fight halfway through, you wouldn't know what was going on until the end of the fight. And that's probably the only sport where that's the case. I think it will also help educate people on what people are scoring because as the casual fans tend to not like the grappling and the jiu-jitsu and the wrestling as much as they do the striking. But if they knew what was being scored for what, they might, it would educate them as well. So they'll quickly get more excited by the grappling when they know what's actually happening. So I think it's definitely something that we need to be looking at more. And then for the fighters, it will help make some really exciting fights because people would know exactly where they're at. And going into that last round or the last few rounds, they're going to push themselves more than they would normally.
When the rounds would start, and I can't remember if it was the fourth or fifth, I was like, all right, you're back on your feet. Let's see what can happen here. Your style is one that could be tough for a wrestler because there's so much movement and your stance and whatnot, but then you would go for the flying knee. And I know you're trying to get the home run, but then that would put you in a precarious position. Do you regret doing that?
Yeah, definitely. But again, it's more because I didn't know how the referees would score. And like I said, I always prefer to count myself down and then go big. Because if I played it safe and then still lost, I would have felt stupid as well. Do you know what I mean? If I went out there and I had a similar round to the fourth round, and then they gave him the first 3 rounds anyway, I would have felt very, very stupid that I didn't just go for it. So the only thing I maybe regret is maybe I should have played it safe for a couple of minutes first,
right?
For a couple of minutes before going for the kill shot, because I got what he was doing. He was waiting for a big shot to happen and then just trying to go for the takedown. And like I said, he's an exceptional wrestler, so it was difficult to kind of prevent. But then I could have been equally as boring, but that's just not me. I really want to go big. I want to go for the win. And in that sense, I don't regret it.
So you were originally supposed to fight Amasov. You get Storley. When they made the switch, of course, Amasov has a very valid excuse. He's back home in Ukraine fighting that fight. What did you think when they gave you Storley?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a equally tough fight. And obviously because of the wrestling, I did expect a bit more from him on the ground. In terms of trying to progress and doing stuff and submissions and his ground and pound I've seen from other videos. But again, I feel like that's a compliment to me at how dangerous I am that they don't even want to open up and even give me a chance to get back to my feet. So, but yeah, I did feel like it was still going to be a tough fight just because of the wrestling aspect. But at the same time, he was more of a conventional wrestler, but he did show me some things that I didn't expect from him technically. And I that's like, all props to him because he's exceptional.
Like what?
Just some of the way his head positioning, some of his controls, his takedowns, his cross-body takedowns. It was all tight, and then even the fact that he, waiting for the big shot to then go for it. It was all very well, like game planned, set. Like he didn't come out. He didn't break out of that box for anything, and obviously he won the belt because of it. So, seriously, I think he is just a great, talented wrestler. But I think if the rule set was slightly different, he would have to work a bit more to become a great mixed martial artist.
Did you guys exchange words afterwards?
No, not really. I spoke to him briefly in the morning, but he looked. I literally shook, his coach's hands and stuff. Shook his hand, like, well done. And I spoke to him after. I was like, keep going, go all the way. I wish you all the luck. That was after the fight, but I saw him the next morning. But he just looked traumatized, man. Like,
really?
Again, he didn't look like a person that had won a fight. So I actually had to ask him. I was like, "Are you okay?" And he's kind of like, "Yeah." Like he was just almost not there.
What?
Yeah.
Why do you think so?
I don't know. I think he was just busted up, and that's what I mean. I find it crazy that I have not one bruise on me, and he's just marked up, bruised up. I know he's sore everywhere, so I think he's just a bit beat up from the 5 rounds.
Was there any shot that he landed that hurt you at all?
No, he landed like a one elbow on the floor, but for some reason he kind of did it tentatively. He wasn't almost like he wasn't sure. It was quite a well-timed one, but he kind of did it worrying about getting his hand back into a good position and then didn't really throw anything else again. He threw a jab that grazed me, and that was it. Like, seriously, I can't tell you anything else.
What's interesting about your demeanor, and I even saw what you posted online, it's like, I thought you would actually be more upset about this. And maybe you're just not like, but like, it doesn't seem like you're that upset. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, you know what? I always tell people I've come from a sport where I got my ass kicked week in, week out for many, 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 many years. Losing is not a big deal to me. I think it's in this sport, it's a big deal to everybody else. It's not a big deal to me. I know I go back, I do I make a couple more changes. I come back, I kill that person. I come back, I beat that person. And that's my attitude all the time. I know for a fact I can go out and beat you. Again, in this particular fashion, in this particular fight, I feel like I can beat you sooner than later. Like, I don't think I need as much time to get back to it, because I don't think he has anything else to offer. And the second I cancel that out, he has nothing. So yeah, for losing to me is just part of growth. It's part of it. It's not a big deal. It's frustrating in terms of how I lost. I don't like losing. I'm a person I want to win. I give myself a certain amount of time to be annoyed at myself, be annoyed at everything, shout, scream, be upset, be sad. Once that is over, I'm back to action. And seriously, I had my moment in my room, like, yeah, annoyed, da-da-da-da. And then we went out and we celebrated the same way I would have celebrated if I won.
Wow.
I was out, I was DJing that night. Everyone had a great time. Like I said, I've been with my family and we will be laughing, joking. It is part of life. And the only time I lose is if I quit, and I'm not quitting.
Wow. That is very commendable. I give you a lot of respect for that. Now, because Coker thought you won, and because it was so close and a lot of people thought you won, is there any chance they run this back right away?
Obviously, it's not my choice. If they was to offer that, I'm definitely not going to say no.
Yeah.
I would 100% take that fight. And like I said, I'm fresh enough to go. I just also know he'd probably say he's a bit more sore and he's got to take time to take. And I don't know if I want, with the camp that I did was hard. I don't know if I want to waste it waiting for him. So I'd prefer to just get back out and just fight again.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you, because you say that you don't feel like you were in a 25-minute fight, is there any chance we see you relatively soon again?
100. I'm going to push for it. The same way I did when I lost the last time. I had 5 fights in 1 year. I'm going to push for it. I'm going to push to try and fight. If I'm not able to, maybe if they are pushing to get a rematch and it is a bit later, maybe I go and do a boxing fight, but I can't keep still. I need to do something in between just to stay in action because I'm fresh, and then maybe take that fight. If not, I just take somebody else, get a fight in, and then try and go back for Storley straight after.
If they do Storley versus Amasov to unify the belts, is there anyone else at 170 that interests you?
I don't really care about anybody else. Whoever's in, like I said, whoever's there. If they offer me somebody, I know the Lima 3 is always going to be exciting. Jason Jackson is just, I think he's a great athlete, and he's doing so well. I'd love to do a fight like that. And then whoever else, I don't really care. But I can't really think of anybody else on the top of my head. So it's more just for the belt, I guess.
And to be clear, if you wanted to do boxing, do you have to get there okay, or can you just go do it?
Yeah, no, I have to get there okay.
Okay.
But to be fair, they're happy. They're happy for me to do it. It's not something that we've already had this discussion before. Yeah. As long as it doesn't conflict with another fight, and like I said, if they're not going to offer me a fight soon, it shouldn't. So they should be okay for me to do it.
I feel like they should put you, it'd be cool to put you on one of these Showtime boxing cards. It's like all in the family. It makes all the sense in the world. They do events all over the place. Let's go.
100%. Yeah, I am so ready. I actually did a lot of boxing rounds as well in this camp. Seriously, I've been feeling so sharp. My hands have been feeling unbelievable. And I think that's what Storley felt as well.
By the way, you'll always be somewhat tied to Paul Daley. You guys had that, that big fight. He was on the card, had a great moment. Did you share any words with Paul? And what is the state of your relationship after all these years?
I still can't stand him as a person. Not at all.
Really?
Yeah, not at all. It's hard to, when somebody's disrespected you so many times, to turn around and be like, yeah, but you know what? He's still done. No, I don't care that he's retired. I don't care to see him again in the sport. I don't respect anything he's done in his past. The only thing I can accept that he is a big knockout artist. And obviously we saw it in his last fight. But outside of that, I'm just not a fan.
Fair enough. So did you see him at all in the hotel, in the build-up? Did you guys cross?
Yeah.
Do you exchange words when you see each other? Nothing.
I don't say no.
Wow. Does he try to talk to you?
No. I wouldn't be rude. Like if that's just not my way. I'm a martial artist first. If he came up and said something and said hello, I'd say hello. And that was it. But yeah, no, he doesn't say anything to me. I don't say anything to him, and I'm happy that's the case.
Is this one that you would love to do again?
I don't really care. I've kind of just it's gone past. Yeah, it's just gone to the point where just hearing his name just irritates me.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, not even like that. I just mean like I don't care to even relive anything. It's not something that I'm passionate to. Oh yeah, I need to do this and get it back. There's nothing about that excites me in any way, shape, or form. I'm just very well and truly over him as a person and a fighter.
It feels to me like Bellator almost has like two lives as a promotion. They've got their stuff that they do here, but then when they go to Europe, I know the France crowd was great. Of course, we've seen them in Ireland. Those crowds are amazing. The London cards are great too. How do you feel about what they're doing in Europe in particular? Because I feel like they're somewhat on fire in Europe with these events. The atmosphere, the buzz, like everything just feels different when they're in Europe as opposed to here in America. How do you feel about what they're doing in Europe?
I think it's good. I think they obviously hit a really big slow patch because they were kind of taking over. They hit a massively slow patch when obviously COVID hit, and they wasn't able to kind of continue that hype because they signed a load of fighters, and then I think kind of had to let a lot of them go because how slow everything was for them, and they wasn't able to kind of get back up on their shows going as quickly as other shows. But they're slowly building that back. And yeah, as you say, the crowds there are great. France looked amazing. Ireland's always a big hit, man. They such a great crowd. And London, if MVP's on the show, it's going to be good.
Will it bother you? Like, will this be something that will eat you inside if you never win the Bellator welterweight title? Now that you've been so close to it a couple of times. Will this annoy you in like 50, like you're 50 years old, you're 60 years old? Will it bother you or do you not really care?
Nah, like I said, I've never really been about the belts. But it's nice to say that I achieved. But at the same time, there's guys that have had belts that nobody knows about.
Right.
And people still know about me. People still know what I bring to a show. People are always probably more excited for us to see my fights than a lot of champions. So that's never been my goal. It'd be great to say, I had it, but if that's not part of my journey, then it's not.
Would the interim title have meant the same to you?
Yeah, I said it. I would have classed myself as a champion.
Okay.
The only difference is if when Amosov came back, he would just be first in line to go at the champion, and that was it. But I would have seen myself as a champion, and Storley should see himself as a champion.
And just curious before I let you go, and I'm not trying to like stir the pot or anything here, but I'm genuinely curious. Like when you see what's become of Michael Chandler and he was in Bellator, like I feel like you two guys were like the faces of Bellator for all those years, homegrown guys to a degree. How do you feel about what has become to Chandler and like the popularity and obviously he has had to deliver, but is there any part of you that's like, man, look at him getting all this love over there. I wonder what it would be like for me.
No, I'm just a fan of Chandler, man. I think he said he was a face of Bellator. He's gone over and he's done exceptionally well. That last fight was insane. I feel like he's become a bit a lot less tactical, and he's just more just a fighter now. He's just fighting, which is good for the audience, but not always going to be good for his results. But I just applaud it. I never look at anybody else's pot or anybody else's career and try to relate to what would or could be of mine. So I'm just happy for him because I think he's a great guy and an amazing athlete. And I'm just happy for him. For me, like I said, my journey will go where my journey is supposed to go.
Okay, fair enough. You're a mensch. You know what a mensch means, Michael? Do you understand?
No.
It's the ultimate compliment that a Jewish person can give someone. You're a class act. Wow. You're a gentleman. You're salt of the earth. You're a true mensch.
Thank you so much.
MENSHE. If you want to check it out.
MENSH. Okay.
Sorry. MENSCH, mensch. It's a Yiddish term.
Okay.
Yiddish. It means that you're a salt of the earth individual. You're a true class act. You're a gent, my friend. The way you handle all this, it's very admirable, and I have the utmost respect for you, truly. And by the way, you won that fight. If my opinion matters, you won that fight, 48-47. I don't care what the internet says. Go look at the quote. Go look at the quote retweets on me writing 40. People were like, I mean, so offended, saying very mean things about me, Michael, but I stand by it. And then when I saw Coker say what he had to say, because again, he doesn't usually come out like that, I was like, all right, if the boss says I'm right, then I'm going to take that to the bank. Well done to you, Michael. I hope you get another crack at the belt soon, and appreciate the time as always.
I appreciate you always. Thank you, man. Take care.
There he is.